It's about that time, y'all. Motor City Radio with your man Malik the King, Sam 44 Man, and Sexy Shakenya.
All righty, what's going on? Tonight is going to be a great show. What's up, Sam, man? You in the house?
What up, world? It's your man, the one and only Mr. Sam 44 Man. You know I'm in the house. How y'all doing this Friday night? We got a special guest in the house tonight. You know, we always keep a special guest in the house. Last week, we had Senator Councilman A. Young Jr. And now today, we have City Councilman. Can we get a round of applause for James Tate? It is our house tonight, y'all.
James Tate.
I clap for myself.
That's right. That's how you doing.
So how you been doing, man?
Well, doing well. I'm running, but there it is.
Yeah, just live radio delay, y'all.
No, it's been well. Been well. Thank y'all for having me. I appreciate it.
All right.
So it's been a lot of work. You've been in office for about 2 terms now.
Yeah, 8 years. It's go by fast.
Yeah, it does. It does. I remember when you first came in. I came up and met you in your office when you first came in. I know that one of your goals was working with the youth and things of that nature. So you had sparked that off at the time. You know, now you're about to run for your 3rd term, and the primary is in August. And so, talk a little bit about what you've been able to accomplish for the last 2 terms and 8 years, and how did it impact you? And how do you feel about? I mean, obviously you like what you do because you're running for a 3rd term. But tell us about what you've been doing. What's been going on?
Well, you know, I never thought that I would end up in this position. I always think about where I started out from. Not I don't have one of those real hard little stories like a lot of folks have. I've got to admit, I'm blessed. Been very blessed. Mother and father together. They reared me the right way. Dad always had a job. Mom was there for me. But I had issues too, just like everybody else. And I sent them through it. From the time I was in kindergarten to the time I graduated high school, I was kicked out, put back, or transferred 8 times. So
You was a little terror.
Yeah. But you know what? The reason why I always say I was blessed because I never gave up on.
But you know what? I was like that too. And you know, when you look at a person from where they come from to where they are now, we've went through a lot of tribulations and trials that, you look back now and people don't understand unless you really in those shoes. You just don't know. You can say, well, he says this, or he says that, or he does this and does that. But unless you know the struggles that we're going through, then you just don't get it. Do you have that?
Yeah, I get it all the time. And that's so when you say that, when I tell people that story, they go, oh man, you don't understand. See, there were some things that I do understand. There were people who were there for me, so I get it.
Right.
And so for me, it's important to make sure that I'm that person whenever I can be. I don't even have any kids. I'm 42 years old. My wife and I, we have no children. And I look at it from the standpoint, my role is to be the best individual first as a role model, if you will, for the kids. All of us. And then number 2, my job is as a council member to make sure that I don't do anything to just take away the trust of the people. When I ask for this job, as tough as it is at times, it's real hard. My job is to stick through it and do whatever I can, wherever I can, whenever I can.
So most of our people in the city of Detroit don't know what it's like in the day of the councilman. Give us an idea of what it's like in the day of the councilman. 9 o'clock. What's happening?
Every day is different. That's the thing about being an elected official, because you never know. Sometimes it's the topical things of the day. Sometimes it's something that you're planning for, and you have to, get bit by bit. You don't have a large staff. I've got, thankfully, I've been able to work my budget the way that I have, and I have 6 members of my team. Just hired a new person about a couple of months ago, but nobody's getting rich. Nobody's getting rich. And
but that's not really the purpose in the city thing, is it? Well, you help the people.
When you go out to Congress, you ask how we get all these millionaires in Congress. Okay, so I'm just telling you, that's the real, right?
Real.
I get up in the morning, get things ready. First thing I do is start looking at the news, trying to find out what happened overnight that I missed. I think I'm catching up on emails that I may not have been able to get to because I got home at 9 o'clock the night before. And then it's about really planning that day. If I have a committee, committees typically start, if it's a Tuesday at 10 a.m., and sometimes that meeting can go for 6 hours, which is crazy. It's 6 hours sitting there voting on items that are sometimes as simple as a contract for snow removal. Sometimes snow removal is not as simple because who's the person, who's the group getting the contract, you know? But then it can be something as large as this Pistons do, you know, that a lot of folks are talking about. And so you got to make sure that when you're dealing with these issues that you've studied, and as an individual, you have a feeling, right, in your heart. I feel this way individually, but I can't just vote a certain way based on solely on how I feel individually. I have to take in how my constituents feel. I also have to take in what I believe is based on the information in front of me. What is the best short-term and long-term? Because as an elected official, you can always win points by pounding on tables and voting no and saying, I'm fighting for the people, and saying that people will shoot them and they'll scream and shout for you all day long. But when it comes down to, are you really making progress? Are you really making a difference? And the question becomes, if it's 9 councilmen, okay? If I vote no and I know it's still gonna go through and I just try to make people feel happy about it, I can vote no, it's still gonna go through. Right? So that's a strategy that some people sometimes use to give themselves cover. I never allow fear to make me do something or not do something. And I always look at myself, it's so funny because I always question, like, who is my base? I have activists who can't stand me. I got business folks who can't stand me. So I'm in that middle spot, and I always make sure that I'm out here with the people. And the people can be, you name it, you know, whatever issue it is, somebody's going to agree, somebody's going to disagree. But I always make sure that I inform, provide them with the information and access. I host 3 community meetings every month. Every month.
What I like, no matter what you say, no matter what your opinion is about me, I'm presenting you the truth. I'm showing you the evidence, and I'm making you make a decision. Absolutely. Make an educated decision on what you see, because it's not out for me. I'll show you a news clip. Look at this, and here's what you think. Tell me what you think. And then I'll show you the news clip, and then you say, for real. And then, now what do you think? See, I'm not forcing anything on you. Over 1,400 shows on Detroit Raw. I'm not forcing anything on you, but I'm informing you the truth. I say what people with $1 million contracts on major networks can't say. Now that's truth. Ask Stephen A. Smith.
That's right.
You see what I'm saying? Calm down, cowboy. Because we pay your salary. See, nobody pays me. So that's why you got to keep it informed, and that's why my community loves me, because they know Sam ain't going to get out there. He going to get with them people. He going to ask the questions. And one of the questions that I'm finding out from my elderly people, my mothers out there, and even some of my fathers out there, what is going to be done with these kids that don't have nothing to do? Stay out of school, where the program's at.
So, you know, we just hired 8,000 kids. 8,000. That's unprecedented in this city.
For summer programs.
For the summer program. So when we talk about what are the hands that are going to be, so we don't want those idle hands, right? So 8,000. When I got on council, that number was 3,000. So it grew from 3,000 to 4,000, then 6,000. Now we're at 8,000 jobs for the kids during the summer. We're not talking about pennies. You know, back in the day, we would have kids just do the Explorers program, which is phenomenal, right? It was great to give them a little base and some structure. But now we have these kids working inside of businesses alongside business people. And some of these young folks have actually gotten internships afterwards, and some have gotten jobs. So that's some of the things that we're doing. The other thing is, when you have folks that say that there's no recreational centers, we certainly can have more. But there are some that are out there right now. We got one in my district, Crowell, right? But I'll tell you this, they're not even packed. The ones we have aren't full.
What about that new one that's on Jefferson, across from Shane Park, that they made from that old plant, and they remodeled it? right off of Jefferson.
Oh, yeah. So that's the Michigan Adventure Center or something like that. That's state of Michigan.
Okay, now what is that? Is that a community center? What is it?
Indoor activities. It's more based. I haven't been inside to be honest with you. But it's
it's pretty nice.
What do they do there, Malik?
I mean, you can just walk around and see different things that has to do with nature and that kind of thing. But again, it's the state piece, so you know they they have, you know,
there you go.
They don't encourage you when you get in.
Right.
I can't remember. I think I did play feet though. I can't remember. But so you talked about because that was a good question, Sam, man. You know, and I know that one of your platforms has always been working with the youth and that nature. You've been had some initiatives that you worked on. Other than the city employment with summer employment piece, what are some other things that you had been behind in regards to initiatives to you?
So when I first got on the council, I worked with my colleague, Santil Jenkins. She's no longer on council. She resigned in the second term. But we were the co-chairs of the Youth Violence Prevention Initiative. And what we did was we brought together members of the community to try to deal with this issue of violence. And most of the time we had more young people in the room than grown folks. Because the reality is, you're trying to figure out how to solve the issue, you got to have some of the folks that you're trying to deal with that issue with in the room. Because otherwise you're doing it to them and not with them. And they're not part of the solution. So we did that for 4 years. And what became interesting is that the mayor's office came up with their own task force as well, which became a bit challenging. So it took away some of the resources that we had, but we still move forward with that. I'm now the chair, and I founded in 2013. Even prior to the president beginning my brother's speaker, I started the task force on Black male engagement, and been doing that. And it was designed initially to have all that. You know,
I'm so glad you're letting us get to know you, and our listeners get to know you. Of course, we run this show over and over again, and folk are able to go to Detroit Motor City Radio and actually see it again anytime they get ready. And so with all of this history and what you've been doing, and now you're about to run for a third term, and we know you're not here because you're running, because you made that clear. You know, I'm here because, you know, I want to be here, and I'll come back anytime is what you just said.
Yes, sir.
Tell us a little bit about what's happening with this whole Pistons thing, and what is that really going to do for the people that live in the inner cities of Detroit?
So, you know, whenever we have a deal, especially one that's quote unquote controversial and in high profile, many times we pin our hopes and dreams on that deal. Is it going to be a whole lot of jobs coming to the city of Detroit? But we made sure that there was at least 50% in terms of construction that has to be Detroiters. Now, emotionally, you have a sense that, okay, if you're coming to Detroit, you need to make sure that you guarantee a certain amount of jobs. So when they leave the palace, you're saying they should fire half of their workforce? See, and this is the reality of this thing. When we really talk about things we're right now in Southfield. So if we were to say, we're going to move to the city of Detroit now, we're going to fire half of your staff, that doesn't work like that. Because now you got to go and fire them, then you got to hire and do it. That's not how business works. And that's the reality of things. So we made sure in the construction, because the construction is where the jobs at. That's where the jobs are. So we built that in. And so there's a tax break. And people are upset, and some folks are upset about a tax break. And once again, when you start looking at major cities, those are those incentives that we use to entice them to come back.
To bring them in.
Bring them here. Because we can't just look at it the right now. We got to look at the long term. What does this mean for our city?
But let me ask you this. Out of the contractors, and I noticed that there's a lot of suburban contractors that are in the city, and a lot of my people, they ask about that. They'd be like, Sanford, you know what I'm saying, man? The jobs are down there, and we don't see no jobs in the hood. We seeing people come in our community. We see them building houses that used to be abandoned, and they seem like they're siphoning their way into the neighborhood, and they're not getting harassed. If I went out to Shelby Township or White Lake, where I might have a cross burned in my yard, or may have some words put on there and on my house, like LeBron James, it doesn't matter how much money you make or who you are. You know what I'm saying? Somebody made a comment that you state that you do this, you wear this, you got this money and all that. But you got to understand, this is a young black man that walked the streets of Detroit at 13 years old for 4 years, turned around and went to prison for 5 years right after that transition, and then came out after 5 years and took care of children that didn't have a father, about 7 of them, 15 total. You understand? Yes, so when I say that the things that I've done or the things that I have, and to be an executive producer, I show young people that no matter what you've been through, if you've been in my shoes, I don't want to hear that you can't make it. I hear them saying, man, I just can't make it. You got to be determined to make it. You got to have the drive to want. It's too much laziness out here. Too many of these young people, give me.
And grown folks too.
Yeah, grown folks too. But then look at the spun.
So wait a minute, what you just pointed out, watch what this goes to, because the first thing that came out your mouth though was about contractors. Now, what was your question about that? Because it's
do we have like black contractors that are in line with these suburban contractors, and are they being overlooked? Are they being accepted? What is the procedure? What is the process to get them in there so we can hire some of our black young people?
So when we start talking contractors, you got to make sure that you balance apples to apples, oranges to oranges. So we can't just say just because you're black, we're just going to pass on certain things. Right. So if you have to have a certain level of bonding, because otherwise, if you don't have that, then the liability is on us.
But most of these contractors have been here for years.
Well, again, contracting is different when you start talking about a municipality.
There you go.
You can contract with me at my house. Okay. All right. That's different than when you talk about $1 billion entity called the city of Detroit.
That's right.
So it's way different. So you got to make sure your stuff's right. So I'm not saying everybody who doesn't get in, their stuff's not right. I don't want to make it seem like that either, because there's always some stuff going on. Let's be real. I don't care how genuine the process is. There's some stuff, because it's humans who are running projects in this program. But I had a brother the other day. He said, man, same thing. Why ain't we getting these jobs, man? And he had a landscaping company. Man, when can I get a job like that? When can I get some work downtown? I said, I'm not sure what the process is, and I'm trying to go through and, here's my card. But let me ask, when you went down and you applied and went through the process, what did they tell you? He said, man, I ain't going down there yet, man. Y'all ain't got nothing. So how you gonna get in it?
You haven't even applied yourself.
How you gonna get in it? You know what I'm saying?
So you see,
and I'm not saying it's everybody's story, but that's what I'm getting. And when you do hit a roadblock, you got to call somebody. That's what we're here for. Yeah. To get in the way and say, hold on, something's wrong. Not just hyperbole, not just hypothetically, why aren't we getting jobs? Why didn't this brother right here, he's qualified, why isn't he getting this job? Why isn't he getting this contract? Now I can pinpoint it. But if we just have this ideal that we're not, I can't go on that.
That's right. So, so I'm glad that we're having this discussion, because most people know me as, because I'm a businessman. My consulting firm, we help a lot of folks get where they need to be. And when I say get where they need to be, because you spoke of bonding, a lot of businesses are not bonded. A lot of businesses don't have the insurances that they need. Folk are operating out here with businesses and don't get the insurance policies that they need, and they waiting to say, okay, I'm not going to pay into that insurance until I see a contract come. Well, by then it's too late, because often what happens is, just like a job application, there is a RFP or a request for services, and that's an application also. And when you submit that application, you have to have your documentation submitted with that. The first person that at every table is always the person who says, let's vet them first. That's the first person. They're going to look at the documentation. Is the insurance attached? Is the bonding attached? Are the things that we requested attached? They don't have to read the rest of nothing.
Yeah, you're right.
All they need to do is just see if those main pieces are in place, and they're not. Then that gets set to the side, and they go to the next one. We cannot continue to blame government or anybody else for us not taking care of our business.
You're right. You're right.
So I understand that, and so I wanted to make sure that because a lot of our listeners are business owners, I need you to understand that you cannot continue to keep saying you want it and you're not going to the table properly.
Yeah, and it happens. It happens all the time. And again, emotionally, I want to do everything I can. So I go out and I say, look, and we've created. Let me just say this: we've actually created programs for small businesses and businesses as a whole, especially Detroit-based businesses, and because they were saying we're not getting any. So we do it, and some have started to now get some of those contracts.
Right.
But you got to remember, similar to what he said, is it's a pipeline now of guys who already had all their stuff. And this is called competitive bidding.
That's what it is.
So you can't just give it just because you want. And we give bonus points for being Detroit based.
Okay.
You get bonus points for being minority business.
Oh man, why y'all ain't getting y'all program together? Come on, this man say y'all got benefits, y'all got all kind of benefits, and these people from the suburban areas coming in here and don't even have those initiatives. Come on now, get your program together, put your package together, go down there, suit up, get yourself right, and talk right, and put your proposal on the table. Now I'm gonna tell you like this. I don't just side with people because they saying that, oh, saying we ain't doing this, because y'all know I'm a hardliner. I'm going to let you know, if you don't have your program together, then how can I speak to this man to help you when he going to tell me the same thing he just told you?
That's right.
You got to have your package together, people.
That's right. So now we're talking about contracts. You know, this trash removal piece is kind of haunting Detroit a little bit. It has been for a while. What is going on now? What's this whole thing with trash removal? Rizzo, yeah.
Well, thankfully, Detroit is not ensnared into that issue. That's Clinton Township. That's actually Macomb County.
Okay.
So Rizzo technically doesn't exist anymore. So the trucks, Rizzo was bought out. Let me put it that way. They were bought out by this other company. I can't remember the name because that's the East Side company. And so we have two different contracts. One for the East Side of the city, the other for the West Side. So the West Side, I know that's advanced disposal.
Okay. But why do they still have that Rizzo sign on there? Wouldn't they have changed it?
Yeah, but
is that it?
They just haven't changed.
No ties to them whatsoever.
It's called money. You know, if I can.
Because when I see the truck, I say, matter of fact, where I live over there in Park Court, Rizzo's all over the place.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Didn't they get under investigation, the daddy and the son?
Going to jail.
And still getting money?
Yeah, no. So Rizzo doesn't exist anymore. But what they did was they absorbed their.
Is that those new little green trucks I've been seeing? Because we got two kinds now. We had Rizzo and we got those little green trucks.
Yeah, that's green trucks.
Green. Their colors are green and blue. So that probably is it.
Okay,
yep.
so that's
so now Detroit, you are informed in regards to that. So if you still see Rizzo trucks, that is not Rizzo. That's actually some new contractors. But did that help, or not help? But did that bring to light some of the contracting issues that can be resolved?
I wouldn't say for Detroit again, because we haven't. So part of the issues that they had was that you had pay to play. You had people who were getting paid under the table.
Exactly.
So that wouldn't happen in Detroit.
Okay.
Thankfully that happened a couple of councils ago.
Okay.
And that's not happening now during this term.
Okay.
So what we have are now that light being shed on elected officials outside of the city of Detroit as well.
Good.
And so that's, for me, refreshing, because many times all you hear about is Detroit. And if somebody's doing wrong, get them.
Right.
Get them.
Right.
I don't care where they are. If it's Detroit, get them. But you also got to make sure that you shed that light elsewhere.
All right. So you're informed now. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to make sure that people get the information they need. So now we don't have to have that general thought going on.
And ladies and gentlemen out there around the world, let's get one understanding about Detroit, because I really hate to hear this. Say surrounding areas. Detroit is from Jefferson to 8 Mile. That's Detroit. All this Ferndale, South Beach, that's not Detroit. They have their own cities, their own city names. If you want to be a part, be a part. But if you say Detroit, that means the city from Jefferson to 8 Mile. It infuriates me that if all these suburban cities that want to be a part of Detroit and want to be called Detroit, surrounding areas of Detroit, help contribute to a lot of the things that are within the city of Detroit, not downtown. Let's hit Glendale and Linwood. Let's go up there on Monterey. Let's go to Dexter and Claremont. Let's go to these places where we can start doing things where the community, out of all these abandoned houses, out of all these vacant lots that are higher than my 3-year-old grandchildren, you see, it's those city issues that we don't see in the community. I'm looking downtown, y'all got street sweepers and the people sweeping, and
you know who did that? But you know who did that?
Who did that?
The private business owners. We're not doing it. That's there. It's called a biz. It's called BIZ. I forgot exactly what it stands for, but the Business Improvement Zone. That's it, Business Improvement Zone.
Wow.
So what they do is they tax themselves to create that. See, that's the thing about it. People think it's the city. We're not doing this stuff. They say y'all doing all this stuff for downtown. This is the business owners protecting their investment.
Educate
and we're
us,
not
brother.
doing the same thing in our neighborhood.
Educate us, brother.
We will go out and we will say we'll have bad service at a restaurant and never go back again. We'll have bad service at a place, but we'll go to the store that has trash all around it and visit and then complain about it. That's where we lose. But these business owners, these folks downtown, these million, look, when Dan Gilbert himself, he has 97 buildings in downtown Detroit.
Ain't that a damn shame?
97 buildings. What do you think he's going to do?
Why is that a shame?
He's going to protect his investment.
He's going to protect his investment.
Yeah.
97.
Why is that a shame?
How much is one building in downtown Detroit?
Very
Millions.
I mean, very.
Yeah.
And you can come and have, if 1 billion, well, they say
I
that
wish
man
I
got
could do
about
it.
5 billion.
But I'm gonna tell you, personally, I'm not gonna hate on nobody's money. My thing is that what kind of
A little bit more people should be having a slice of that pie. All I'm saying. Some of these brothers in the city just getting
But
paid.
he's showing how to do it, though. The thing about it is what Mr. Tate is saying right now. Those models that exist in regards to how these business owners do it, we're not taking that model.
Nope.
We're not using the model of how to get wealthy, one, and then two, some of us are getting wealthy and we're not using the model of how to put it back into our community. We're doing that. We're the ones who are sliding ourselves.
Yeah,
and our brothers are seeing that every day. I know it's true because I know some brothers right now with a whole bunch of money.
You don't know no brothers with no Dan Gilbert money.
No, I don't.
No, you don't.
No, I don't.
So it's apples and oranges. This thing has been going on with downtown for my lifetime. A black man has never been able to go downtown and purchase property. Never. Ever.
Who owns the
Why
building?
not?
Because the same families that owned the buildings before Dan Gilbert came to the city of Detroit,
Right.
downtown Detroit,
Right.
were the same people and families that would not sell to black people.
All right.
Yeah.
So let's look at it like this. So if the buildings downtown are not the same buildings that's all over the city of Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
There are brothers who own buildings all over the city of Detroit, however.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
All I'm speaking to is the model of how that is done, right? One model that he just gave was in regards to the biz piece of how that was done. Now, there are brothers who own what do you call them, mini malls, things of that nature.
Strip mall, yeah.
And you'll go to those strip malls, brother, and there's going to be trash all over the place. There's going to be situations where people kind of hanging out in front, things of that nature. And before you know it, that building, some ends up happening. A crime happens, a situation where you have something where the business doesn't end up working long term. In other words, you know what I'm saying, the sustainability ends up not being there. So the only thing that I'm speaking to is that we do still have a responsibility. I can tell you that personally, I don't care really about Dan Gilbert. That's really where I'm going with that.
And that's fine.
Yeah,
and that's fine.
What I care about really is what our responsibility is, and I'll never be able to put it on a Dan Gilbert or any other white boy. I'm not going to do that.
Well, and I'm not going to do that either because it wouldn't even do no good. It don't even make sense. Here's the thing. I've had 10 or 15 businesses inside of the city of Detroit in my lifetime. And this situation that you're speaking on is way deeper than you're making it sound. Yeah, there are black businesses that have adequate services to the public. Absolutely. The problem is when a black business owner picks up the phone and calls the city of Detroit to have something done, it takes them forever to see about it and get it done.
Yeah.
That's
I can't say that's the case for every
well, that's been my when I had Councilman, when I had a children's clothing store on Livernois and 7 Mile. I got on the city for 2 years running to come and help us to police that area and clean that area up so people in the University District and Sherwood Forest would come and spend their money with us.
Mm-hmm.
It never happened. It ran me out of business. And so we do face a different challenge than other folks do who has the number one the #1 mortgage company in the country of America. See, it's a difference when you can come in and tell a city, listen, I'm gonna save y'all. I'm gonna let y'all use my bank, but this is what you got to do to use my bank. We don't have that kind of negotiating power.
But Dan Gilbert has not been here forever. Dan Gilbert came here because he saw the opportunity. There are other millionaires.
The same thing.
Regardless, hold on, regardless, no, we don't have those dollars. Dan Gilbert ain't in the room with us. But there's millionaires that are somewhere, brothers, that even came from Detroit. They're not investing back into the city is what I'm saying. So we're not saying you're going to have 97 buildings, but you can have one. You can have two.
Well, theoretically, Councilman, I get it. I get what you're saying. However, there have been brothers that have come to this town and tried to plant a seed in this town and end up indicted for some strange reason or some other. I've experienced this stuff. I'm not talking about what I heard on the news or what I heard somebody talking about. I know brothers that have come to this town and tried to plant a seed in this town and end up smashed. And you never even get the gist of it as to, well exactly what did this brother do?
You know what? I get your point. So this is what we're going to do, because this is about solving problems. Sam, man, let's make a note to make sure we get Brother Strather on here. Okay. We need to have a conversation with a real millionaire who's done this and he's been here. And because that subject is another subject. Right. Because, you know what I'm saying, and we can get deep into it.
Absolutely.
And because I know that there's some things, because right now we're talking about a municipality whom has struggled through many different situations, and there are millionaires who are investing. Dan Gilbert just happens to be one of them. We have a city council member here whom, has what he's able to do with his peers and colleagues, and so we just want to kind of stay with that piece.
Let me ask you this, Councilman.
Yes, sir.
Are you aware of the changes that's going on right in the building in which you work in terms of black folks being ousted in favor of other folks who, let's say a person's been with the city 25 years and has a good work record, but doesn't have the degree to back up the time that they've been with the city? Are you and city council, if you know, are you aware of how these people are being pushed out of city government?
So we have heard that, and I don't deny it. I don't doubt it. Let me put it that way. And we've addressed it. We've had the human resources person, the director, come to the table several times because we've heard that. Now, the other thing that we have to look at is, are we looking at doing things differently as well? And so we've had some real issues in the past. The way that somebody would get a particular position is just a transfer. That doesn't mean that they're qualified for it. So they've worked for the city for years, but they don't know that job. And so that's been an issue. So we've said, you know what, people are asking us to do things differently in the city of Detroit. So we have to say, are we going to continue to do it that way, or do we transfer or transform our hiring practices? Is it perfect? Absolutely not. Am I defending it? No. But what I am saying is that's not everybody's story.
No, I realize
so individuals,
it's not everybody's
but they have to let us know that this is what I'm confronted with. That's what I always tell folks. As city council members, we are your advocates.
Right.
We don't run not one department by charter. Charter prohibits us from telling any department head to do anything, any department member to do anything. So we get stuff done through relationships or pressure. And so when someone comes and say, look, Councilman Tate, this is what I've been doing. I'm qualified for this job. I can do this and go through the whole list. And then we go and we say, well, Madam Director or Mr. Director, what's the issue? Now we've got, again, something that we can hang our hat on. But if we just have people are getting fired and we say, well, who? The department's not going to tell us. We need it from the people. And so all we can do is at the table is go, well, theoretically, what's the issue? Why is this happening? I'm hearing this. What's happening? So they give their side and we hear that side. But if you're not willing to come and say, I have been, or this person has been, sometimes you got to put your neck on the line and say, I'm willing to take whatever consequences because it's for all of us, not just me. And I've got not one person personally who said that. We've gone through and went and tried to find out who are these people who are being disadvantaged, who are the ones that are getting kicked out. And some of the ones that they'll give us are people who are not, quote unquote, qualified.
Well, and that's a very, very good description of how you guys run that system down there, because I was totally unaware that city council really doesn't have anything to do with that. Glad you told me that.
No.
And our listeners. However, when you bring a company in to restructure well, it doesn't even have to be a city, any company, any corporation, and the people that you bring in have the documentation degrees, if you will, but they don't have the experience of a person that's been on that same job for 20 years. Is it really an advantage to oust that person?
No, it's not.
I didn't think so.
No,
because I know a young lady personally, Councilman, and I must tell you, she's lost her job and it has flipped her out. Yeah. She's sick.
Sure she is.
No, I mean, she's really, it really messed her up bad.
You work anywhere for 20, 25 years and get ousted, man. That's a horrible thing, man.
Congressman, let me ask you a question. Also, speaking on
this. You say Congressman?
I mean,
you know,
he's speaking on it already. Pay raise. I like that. That's a pay raise. You about to put you on there, man.
Well, hey, put it out there.
That's right. So, Councilman, I just want to know, speaking on that working the DMC whistleblower situation with the police authority, this racial coding 3 and 4, people have put their lives on the line. People are asked to protect others when they will stand there and watch you and won't even help. How do these people supposed to understand it just makes no sense that they have put their lives and their time out there and are overlooked. What can you do and what can be done to help these individuals? And why is this, if anything, is still not being done something about it?
So think about, what country do we live in?
Well, I thought it was the United States of America.
What was this country? How was this country built?
Oh, well, my grandson is saying on slavery. Okay. White people made black people work for free.
So why do we think that is gone now? I mean, we had a black president.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden we thinking all of that stuff is gone.
Yeah, didn't we? Didn't.
All of it's gone. So then now that President Obama's not here, now everything is, now it's to the fever pitch.
My brother Tate.
They don't even move. They don't even remove the cloak anymore. They walk out straight up.
But why is it, in your opinion, that we keep pretending as black folks? We keep pretending. I ain't talking about what other folks do. Why do we keep pretending that this stuff is something different?
Because we don't want to talk about it.
And there's a fear there.
Why? Why us? Why us?
You know what? So I had a conversation with I found out, and this is a real story. I found out my mother lived in Connecticut for 7 years, just 2 years ago.
Wow.
All my life, I thought my mother lived in Alabama up until she moved here.
Surprise.
That's all I knew. Because that's all they told me.
That's profound.
But
that's profound.
But this is what I'm talking about. We don't tell our story. We don't tell where we come from. We don't. It's so much more. Like my father. I know my father. He didn't graduate high school. I do know that. I know he lived in Birmingham, and he's still in my life to this day. I love that man. He's a great man, greatest man on this world, right? In this world. I know he didn't graduate high school. I know he was a great father, a great husband. I know that he lived in Birmingham. I know he moved up here, worked at GM for 29 years, and now he's retired. I know a lot of that stuff. I know family, but I don't know his story. And so the same thing is happening in household after household after household after household. So we don't tell the story. So it's hard to galvanize us because we don't know the stuff. Like right now, if I'm talking, people see me as Councilman. They just think, oh, he Councilman Tate, he come with that suit. You don't know my story, man.
Yeah, but see,
they get to know you tonight, though.
Believe that. But see, what they should be saying, I don't know your story either. But I can feel your spirit. But even with my own children in my own home, when I try to tell them the story,
they don't want to listen.
they don't want to listen or they don't believe that it's factual.
Yeah.
There you go.
Right. That is a hard one. In my family, we believed all the stories our people told us. I mean, my grandmama, my mama. I mean, and so that's one of the reasons why I act how I act in my life is because I know my story.
But you're from that generation of stories.
Yeah. And I'm from down south. Well, I ain't that old though, bro. No.
But you're from that generation of stories.
Right.
See,
I'm from down south. Down south, it happens like that.
Yeah, but here's another thing. You didn't have to turn on the television and the PlayStation to be entertained.
Yeah. No.
Right. See, you could sit around and you could listen to the elders, even if they just drinking and partying and talking.
Because you would want to be one of them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But these children now, man.
Oh man, they distracted.
Yeah.
But our adults are distracted also.
Yeah.
My children, man, and I think, I don't want to harp on this, but my children got upset with me. I went to the youngest boy's graduation out at some place. I don't even know why they have black kids way out there, but that's another story. But I go to my son's graduation, and they know what my thoughts are about the national anthem. They've always known. So when the national anthem came on and the folks asked people to stand up and take their hats off, they knew that their father wasn't going to do it. They knew it.
Right.
But look, white folks didn't get mad at me. My children did.
Yeah, man, that's just right.
My own children. And after the ceremony, I said, well, let me ask y'all something, since you're mad at me and you're embarrassed of what your father did or what you think he did, because I really did something for you. If a black kid had got up there and receiving his diploma and started to sing, lift every voice and sing, do you think white folks would have stood? And do you think white folks would have been embarrassed not to stand?
Right.
And that's when it hit my oldest boy.
That's right.
Oh, wow, Dad. You never explained
I'm glad you took the time. See, taking the time to do that is very, very important. Right. Because I'm going to tell you what's happening right now, especially for black males. When we resist, we're not respected when we resist. Even by our own family and children.
Even by our own family and children.
So they see us resist.
Oh, my wife was so pissed. She didn't speak to me no more than that day.
Absolutely. The thing about it is, if you resist and it appears that you're going to lose faith with pretty much everybody around you. So be ready for that. But so I'm a resistor. I don't care.
I am too.
I'll lose everybody around.
What it is.
What they
I'll make it happen.
What they don't understand, Malik, is that it's okay to lose.
Wrong. It's okay to resist.
And it's okay to lose.
It's okay to resist.
Because in order to know how to win, you have to know how to take a loss.
Brother, it's not the battles. What I teach mine is it's not the battles, it's the war. Yeah. So I'm saying the battles are only the strategies to win the war.
Right. Absolutely.
So if I lose a battle, I'm not tripping. Yeah. I'm ready for I'm in it for the war though. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? Until my heart stop beating, until they take me off this planet, I'm in it for the war. But we got only 4 more minutes. Because I know we're getting into that game right now, brothers talking. See, this is how we do it here. It feels good. That's how bring it back. So we had 2 more things before we have to go. One was the land bank. And so just give me 1 minute on the land bank issue, because right now they got to pay on some invoices. We got the whole thing going on with the tearing down the houses and stuff like that. What are we looking at here?
So we got over 11,000 properties that were torn down, and some folks said that some of those houses shouldn't have been torn down. Many of them we know should have been torn down. I'm glad that we are now seeing some movement there. When we start talking about illegal activity, because it's still a federal investigation that's going on, that's going to take its course. So the city council, like I said, I can bang my hand on the table. But what I like is the fact that we don't have those vacant properties that Miss Jones, who's been calling me for years, my 8 years now, that property is now down, right? So that criminal, if somebody did something wrong, like I said, no matter who it is, get them. As far as that $5 million is interesting, because so we got fined $5 million, but then we essentially got $5 million back. So really just
circled around. Okay.
It just circled. But that's not council.
It's just game.
All right. So we got to understand what we're dealing with here. We know what country we live in.
That's right.
That's all I'm saying.
Hey.
Right. Okay. So then the second one is the water thing is all over with, right? Who owns the water or no?
So
people still fighting over it. What are we doing?
No, we're fighting a bit. So there's a lawsuit right now between we're entering city council and the mayor. This is now one of those fights, because they said that we don't have the right to set the water rates, And that was based on bankruptcy and all this stuff. We say, yes, we do. So we're actually about to go into litigation, and we haven't had it all these years. Here it comes, and we're going to see what the people say.
White folks been setting prices for years. As soon as we put a little price on a little water, now everybody want to get bent out of damn shape.
That's because you ain't. That's because you ain't put no price on nothing. You can't.
Right.
Let's just be real.
Yeah.
This brother is just fighting the good fight.
Hey,
he can't put the price on it.
He just keep fighting.
That's right. But you know how hard it would be, though, right now to say, yeah, I want to raise the rates, even if it needs to be done?
It'd be very hard to do so.
And that's what's happening right now. So they just said they want to raise it 1.7%, the lowest in years. But here we are. We have people who are losing. They're not losing their houses anymore because we stopped putting that on the tax roll. But we have people who are having shutoffs because they're not being paid.
Right.
So right now, at one point in time, it was like 30,000 who are in the potential shut-off. Now it's less than 1,000. Okay,
wow.
Because people are being. We just say, come in. Just come in.
Do your due diligence.
We'll work with you.
Do your due diligence.
And that wasn't happening before. But now, person after person, that unfortunately, people had to go through the experience before others say, yeah, let me try it. And so now we have less than 1,000. The reality is, there's no free anything.
Absolutely.
And if you cannot pay, we have to figure out how to help you. But it's not just free, because if we created a free program, we know what would happen with people. It would be abused. And it's not everybody, but it would be abused. So we've got to individually figure out what is the best strategy for you as a person. And like I said, we've gotten from 30,000 now down to less than 1,000 people. And I think that just shows that we're trying. Can't fix all the issues.
That's right.
Woo,
all right, we got less than
the sunshine in here.
That's right. So we got less than a minute. I wanted to just answer the one thing for you, brother, in regards to businesses or homeowners and where you're feeling like you're not getting anything done. My advice to you is what I gave a young lady one time, and I could tell you the lady was living in poverty. She couldn't get nothing done. There was a lot of crime in her little neighborhood. This is what I say. You want to take your councilman's number, your legislator's number, your representative's number, and your congressman's number, and you put it on your refrigerator. That's how you get things done. And then you keep calling those folk, and you write those folk, and eventually what you're trying to get done is going to get done. Typically what happens, because trust me, the other folk, they do it. That's how they get it done. So we have to do the same thing. Put those numbers on your refrigerator, start calling those people, and watch anything you want done will end up getting done. I think we're out of time.
I want to give, just before we get out of here, I want to give some shots out to some people that have been rolling with your man, Mr. Sam 44 Man, for the past 5 years. Shouts out to Patrice Lee, Tony Cornett down there in Cincinnati, Ohio, my man, and Yukita Williams. And also shouts out to Kiki, happy birthday, baby, and all Cheryl, Cindy, Cheryl, all of y'all that tunes into the Detroit Raw Show with your man, Mr. Sam 44 Man. Thank you for sticking with your man so long. I really appreciate you. That's why I gave y'all that shout out.
And love himself, don't he?
Yay! I work very hard to do that show by myself. If I was a white boy put out there, I'd be a prodigy. But I'm not, but I'm still a prodigy. It's your man, Mr. Sam 44 Man, with James Tate. We really
thank you so much for coming on the show, sir.
We really
greatly appreciate you.
One more question,
Councilman.
What's next for you after City Council?
Not even think about that. I got an election. right. I'm looking at this term, but I don't plan on being in politics my entire life. I don't love it that much. I love helping people. Okay. But the politics is the stuff that I don't care for. So I'll potentially go back into communications in some way.
Well, then get with me. Let's do some stuff. Make a movie or something up in this city. I'm ready. Brothers can do something together. You've been tuned in to the Motor City Radio Show with the one and only Mr. Brother Malik Shaking, and also Mr. Sam 44 Man. Your man Glenn in the house, and we had our special guest, Mr. James Tate, Councilman James Tate, soon to be. Congressman.
Malik the King in the house. We want to thank you. Visit DetroitMotorCityRadio.com. We'll get some things updated for you. Thank you so much.
We'll see you next week. We out.
Let me know when.